Well, and serving for 20 years, even how the system outside of that compound that you're living in has changed. I mean, that's 2 decades that, not that you're, away from the world. I mean, you still have access to it, but that's a while. That's a catch up.
Yeah. So I moved to New York City and was having chest pains and had to figure out how to get to a doctor, how that even worked. It cost me $47 to park my Jeep at the parking garage just to go see the doctor. Like that's not reimbursable. My doctor took a look, this guy's never seen me before. And the first thing he said was like, how long have you been using cocaine? And I was like, I don't use cocaine. Like, I just came from this special place that doesn't even really exist. And this guy is accusing me of things that I hadn't done in, 25 years.
Sure.
So anyway, yeah, since I was a teenager. But anyway, just kind of figuring out that whole process. And, that was a huge pain in the ass. So if you're retiring in Fayetteville, North Carolina, pretty much every doctor in North Carolina takes Humana Military or TRICARE or whatever they're calling it today. If you move out to the middle of Montana, it might be a different situation. So healthcare and just understanding the system and who to call, I didn't, it's not like I had a list of contact numbers like, oh, call this person. And if you have a problem here, what happens if you lose your military ID? What happens if, something is damaged? Where do I go to do that? I don't know. Like, it's not like there's here's who you call if you live here. And then trying to get onto any sort of government website. It's like, imagine everything being run by the people that run the DMV. It's just incredibly not functional, bureaucratic, big websites down, all that stuff. So those are the things more so than any trauma I faced, like carrying baggage with me out of the military. It was more of the admin pieces that really annoyed me. And I don't even use the military healthcare as an example. Like I get that covered through other means, but it's just too big of a pain in the ass where I live.
Mm-hmm. The logistical nightmare of it all, I suppose. Well, so
not to be a downer.
Healthcare run by the DMV. That sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so let's talk about the music. Let's talk about Silence and Light. So obviously, motivated you to create the group. You're all, special operations background, I believe. So let's talk about that journey and, when you started that back in 2017.
Yeah, so I did a lot of stuff for a few years, helping design things and stuff. And it was a very lucrative, thing that I was doing, but it wasn't fulfilling me in terms of, giving back to the community or how do I feel the same type of importance that I felt while I was serving. And even so, it connected me to my, the unit that I had been assigned to. It connected me to other people in the military and other service members and things like that. So it was enjoyable and rewarding, but not in the same way. And it wasn't enough for me. So every week, my wife and I would do like a happy hour, date night, Friday night, have a couple of cocktails, go out and get something to eat. And every week we would talk about, a myriad of things other than me, but we would always end up talking about, like, I feel like I'm a ship out on the ocean and I'm just looking for the light. Like, just tell me what to do and how can I help? I don't want to start a foundation. I don't want to ask people for money. And I want to keep money completely separate from anything that I do. But how can I give back to the community? And every week we would kind of discuss different things. And one day, as you can see, I've got like an entire room in my house, which is kind of like a home studio, but I've got a whole other wall of amplifiers and stacks of guitars and other guitars back here and everything else. One day she says, it's a shame that you're not using this stuff. And not that I didn't play all the time, but it didn't really hit me when she said it. But the next day, I was driving into the city to meet one of my bandmates now, Jason Everman, the guy that was in the Rangers the same time I was in, and he was in Nirvana and Soundgarden prior to joining the Army when he joined in 1994. Anyway, I was driving to meet him for a concert, and I started thinking about it like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask Jason if he wants to do something musically, and maybe we could take the proceeds, however that happens, and give those to like organizations that we believe in or foundations or whatever it might be. And approached him with it. We before the concert, we're hanging out, having some cocktails, and said, "Hey, man, I know you've been out of the music business for a long time, but is there opportunity for us to do something and do this?" And he was like, "Absolutely." So that's kind of where it started. I started a social media page within a few days of that and just tried to let people know as best I could, hey, here's what I'm doing. And it just started to grow organically. I had a MARSOC operator hit me up and say, hey, I'm just retired, just separated from the Marine Corps. And man, I don't know what you got going on, but I want to be a part of it. And, it just started to grow from there all the way to the point of, multi-Grammy award-winning producer hitting me up saying, hey, I'm a veteran too. I'd love to help out. What can I do?